because this is a Carolina team that just flew across the country. They have been traveling for upwards of 2 weeks, and I would have thought that the Flyers, after they got the lead that they got in the first period, even though they got outshot pretty handily, I would have thought that they would have found a way to buckle that down a little bit better. It just was not a good second and third period, and it started somewhere there in the second half of the second period, and it's the second time in 3 games now that we've seen a back half of a game just go right down the tubes for this team. Just not a good performance. So, it might be starting to be a little bit of a concern. The power play is starting to be a little bit of a concern. That's been going on for a while now. But since
what's concerning is it's getting worse.
Yeah, exactly. Since it's been, not even hanging on or anything like that, it's been getting worse. That is definitely a concern. So, it's a troubling game tonight. Again, they are in this really rough stretch right now, and I would hold any sort of significant judgment until they get out of it. Starting on Sunday against New Jersey, things are going to start to ease up a little bit. But just not a huge fan of the way the second and third went tonight.
Yeah, and it's let's talk about the power play, because it's getting worse. It's not getting better. Zone entries and getting in the zone to set up is still an issue. And when you look at it, you go, this is obviously being worked on in practice, but to no avail. And maybe that's the most disturbing part, is that this is being worked on, and nothing is changing. But if it's changing, it's not for the better.
Right. Yeah. If you're working on it and you're seeing improvement, or you're seeing at least better looks, not even chances, but better looks, then you're feeling a little bit better about it. But this is it's not resulting in that, and it's resulting in maybe fewer looks. The biggest problem the power play had originally when this drought started was gaining the zone.
Yeah.
And now they're gaining the zone, but getting kicked right back out.
Because they're dumping it, and
right.
It's not. You got to get the puck in deep, set it up, and establish your power play. And even when they did get it set up, there's no urgency to moving the puck. Like, you watch Carolina on their power play, you watch other teams that are good power play teams, and they move the puck really fast.
Right.
They don't get it on their stick, dust it off, check it out, roll it over, see how the other side. They get the puck, they move it to the next guy, and that's how you create the opportunity. And the Flyers just aren't doing it.
And you're trying to do east-west, and even better is what I call northwest-southeast, like these diagonal passes across the grain. Like, you think a pass is going straight across or something like that, but then it goes diagonally down to that middle position, or kind of skips somebody in the grand scheme of going around the horn. That's kind of when you start catching people off guard, and it's not doing enough right now to move the penalty killers out of where they want to be. Right,
yeah.
Right now the opponent's penalty kill is able to put their personnel right where they want to be to disrupt anything the Flyers are trying to do, and they're just not making it difficult.
Yeah, and they're able to get those sticks in the lanes from a player stationary passing to another player that is stationary. It's not fun to watch that power play. It's really not, and it's almost when you're here at home and you hear Nolan come on and say it's the Pico power play, and you're like, well,
can you decline a power play?
Yeah, can we? We got to go on the PK tonight, but not on the power play. It is tremendously frustrating, and it was a weird game with some strange things happening in the game, some ailments, if you will, and some of the calls. I don't ever like to blame referees. I think that stuff just always balances out through a season. But all said and done, you can't give up 6 goals and win games.
Right. Even if the calls aren't there, and I don't think that there was anything in that nature that really affected things tonight.
No.
But yeah, it's that 6-goal thing, and especially when you are playing the way the Flyers are playing right now. I mean, they just can't answer 6 goals at this particular time. It was a bit of a lift for them to answer with 3 early on. It's just something that you have to. We've been saying for the last couple of weeks that the goaltending in particular, but the defensive play is what's got this team surviving right now. And the defense and the goaltending weren't there tonight, and you get a result like this. And so that's why they need to, again, now we're through this stretch, and things maybe get a little easier from here on out. Maybe reevaluate after a game or two next week. But if you don't have good defense and goaltending against good teams like this is the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, and the other part of the equation is that, there's 13 games in the NHL today. In the next couple of days, it's going to be extremely busy after the league was dark yesterday for Thanksgiving. And a lot of teams are playing, which means a lot of opportunities to grab points. And there's, the Rangers. They went into Boston earlier today, or played Boston earlier today. They got a 5-2 win. So they grabbed 2 more points. And, we talked about this earlier, like with portions of the schedule very condensed, a couple of a bad week or a stretch of bad games, and now it's a 5-game losing streak for the Flyers.
Right.
Really hampers you in the standings. I mean, the Flyers have played 19 games now. They've played 2 more games than the Devils, but they're tied in points with them. You'll see the Devils Sunday. Then you look at Pittsburgh, who's also played 19 games. They're ahead of the Flyers in the standings by 2 points. Columbus, through 17 games with 2 in hand on the Flyers. So they're really putting themselves in a bad position. I'm not saying they're buried at this point, but they're starting to dig. Yeah, and you don't want to start to dig.
They're starting to slide back.
Thanksgiving,
yeah. It is a little bit. The only saving grace you can take for it is that we have already seen the Penguins now go through a slide and come back. They had a skid, 10 days ago or something like that, and they had fallen down into the basement with the Islanders. But now they've been able to play their way out of that and come back and pull even with the Flyers. So that's what's next up for the Flyers, is to go into next week and attack these opponents. Especially, there's a lot of division games coming up. There's a lot of opportunity to make up ground, and just attack these games where you don't have opponents that are ripping through the schedule the way that the teams that the Flyers have been playing are, and try to use that to kind of right the ship a little bit, get your back pointed in the right direction. First overall as a team, then the little things like the power play and things like that, and take it from there through the first week of December here.
And you look at this schedule, really, like from when they came back from that game against Dallas. They played Carolina on November 12th, 13th. They played Dallas, lost that 5-2, 3 games in 4 days. Then you had Calgary, Tampa, and Boston. And then it was Tampa Bay on the road, Florida on the road, and Carolina. It's a tough schedule. Back at it on Sunday, they'll take on the New Jersey Devils here at the Prudential Center. And they'll come back to take on an Islander team that have gotten off the road, but still haven't gotten off the mat in the way they're playing. So they're affected right now with some COVID situation. It's a big mess there. And then, you're going to take on the Rangers. And then you have Tampa. And then Colorado and New Jersey again. Where's the let-up? I mean, do you have to wait all the way till December 11th in the Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thought that we were having when we were looking at the schedule, is that was going to be their next kind of relief, if you will. I think that, now that we're a couple weeks along, Jersey, Islanders, Colorado maybe aren't cooking along as hot as they had been. The Rangers obviously are. They've had their problems with Tampa Bay. Colorado is a toss-up. So, it's just a little bit of a lesser next, 6 games here before that West Coast trip that actually starts in Jersey, and then they fly out to Vegas and Arizona before coming all the way back to play New Jersey again.
Well, I mean,
it's not a pretty picture here for the next 6 games, but hopefully an opportunity at least to not have to play the top 4 teams in the league.
Well, let's simplify it even further. Who cares who they play?
Yeah,
that's the attitude they gotta have.
Yeah, they do.
Who gives a damn? You can't control it. The schedule's out. It is what it is. You're going to play good teams in an NHL season. That's not exactly breaking news that you're going to have to play tough opponents. They got to fix their game. They got to control what they can control, and they got to fix their game. Because my biggest takeaway from this game, and the biggest thing that irks me the most, is how much the D-zone structure broke down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stinger.
And that is, to me, about a week old.
Yeah,
there's something.
It's been trending.
There's something that has been lacking there over the last week, and we had talked a lot about how consistency in the pairings is something that the Flyers are looking forward to having this year. And while they hadn't had that consistency with Ryan Ellis being out of the lineup, Nick Seeler had come in and they had settled into 3 consistent pairings anyway. But then that effectiveness has started to fade, and I'm not sure exactly why. It's possible that it's a tale of trying to do too much. Maybe I don't know, but maybe it's a tale of just maybe getting a little too complacent. And we thought that might be the case when they switched up the pairings a couple of games ago to try to get a little bit of a new look, and it seemed to be a little bit better. But there is something going on there that I'm not sure exactly how to put my finger on it, but it's starting to be a little less effective.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Eventually, a guy can step up for a period of time, but it's not indefinite. You can't. Guys that are suited for a role can't fill that void in perpetuity. It's why great players get paid more money because they're great players and they can't just be subbed in with the next man up mentality. And I think it's a good point that you make. They're really starting to see that part fade.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they're showing some tendencies that other teams are picking up on video and then picking on some weaknesses, or if it is just a matter of losing their mojo a little bit, losing their momentum. I'm not sure what it is, but I have to go back and look a little bit more closely. But there have been a couple of occasions where guys have just flat out lost track of where the other team's players are. There's been times when they've miscommunicated and leaned too heavy to one side, or done something else that's left somebody wide open. There's been a couple of those in the last few games, so that's maybe just taking a step back and working on some defensive fundamentals. I don't know, but there's got to be some solution there because again, you can't expect Carter Hart to bail you out or Martin Jones to bail you out of an entire season. You definitely can't expect it if they're getting 10 bell chances over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, do we need to take a quick timeout during here on the postgame show?
Yeah.
We do? Okay. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with more with the East Food Hall. This is the Flyers postgame show. Brian Smith and Jason Martinez on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Flyers postgame show.
Jack and Jill ice cream has been
What's up?
cotton candy and our new flavor, cookies and fudge. Cookies and cream ice cream topped with mini cookie crumbles and loaded with decadent
go like this. There we go. That was my fault. There we go. Should have it now. The East Food Hall, the Wells Fargo Center, and the Flyers to the Carolina Hurricanes. The Flyers will be back at it coming up on Sunday. They're going to head to New Jersey to take on the Devils for the first time this season. Devils off to a bit of a good start to the campaign. Played 17 games. I think they played tonight. They've got 20 points, and the Flyers right now just absolutely struggling. And they're going to look to start to right the ship. And I think it's just so important to not worry about who you're playing and just control what they can control, gain some structure in their game, find ways to drive offense. And the forecheck, it seems they run a 2-1-2 forecheck drive. But it seems like right now the pieces don't fit the forecheck. They can't get in on it. And if that forecheck, a 2-1-2, if a good outlet pass can beat it pretty quickly, as we saw in this game with guys like Tony DeAngelo being able to get the puck out, then you get guys caught and the other team comes to the neutral zone, and it's much easier for them to get in.
Yeah, I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if they sit down and look at the forecheck and they determine that it's execution, all right, then you work on the execution. But if the players are executing the forecheck to the best of their ability and it's still not getting results, so then it's time to find another forecheck. And maybe there is something out there that suits the talents of these particular personnel a little bit more. I'm not sure. I'm certainly not the expert on that. Those guys that comprise that coaching staff, of course, are way more experienced than I am. So they have, I'm sure, some thoughts as to what they can do, but it's just a matter of figuring out a path forward at this point. Like, are you going to say, okay, we're going to, we need to work on our execution on this particular system or tweak it a little bit, or do you say, all right, it's time for a new system? I don't know. That could be,
coaches hate to change the system.
You change the system now, you're going to take another 10 games to learn it, or are you 10 games from now? I mean, it's a conundrum. But to your point, if they don't have the personnel suited to run some part of the system, whether it's the forecheck or the neutral zone, whatever, then you got to look at that. You got to figure, now's the time to figure it out before you have to go and try to do it in January. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, and coaches don't change systems anyway. It's like it's a belief structure more than a system, right? And it's what I believe my teams need to do to have success.
And it's across the board too, because I'll tell you what, when Seattle came in that first week, I went and we were here for the morning skates, and Seattle comes out. I walk out, I look at the morning skate. I see the morning skate the Flyers did 4 years ago.
Yeah,
it was the exact same things going on. So it's again just trying to figure out again a path forward here. If it's his execution, if it's just strength of opponent, if it's something else, one way or the other, something's got to give here. They've already tried to change the pairings. They've tried to change the lines. They've tried to change the personnel in the power play, and nothing's quite gaining some traction as of yet. So, you just got to keep looking for whatever it takes to get things pointed in the right direction.
Maybe it's time to do like an exorcism. You got to exercise your demons, right?
Is that the thing with Joe Boo and the chicken?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
You got me.
His bat is cursed.
Yeah, well, I had a coach when I was growing up.
His glove is cursed in the other one, right?
When we would go through stretches, he'd make us clean under the bleachers at the rink. You know how disgusting that is?
Yeah.
And that was the way to get the hockey gods back on your side. Yeah. But a hockey god never scored a power play goal.
No, a hockey god never did. But I don't know if a hockey god hit the post tonight while Niemi Ranto was down and out.
Yeah.
But
that's hockey Satan.
Yeah.
But
it's a funny game sometimes.
Yeah, it was the Couturier that spins that one, hits the post, and then Sanheim hits the post right after.
I just, I sit in the press box right on the south end goal line. And so I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just waiting to see the puck, from my perspective, go from one side of the line to the other inside the net, and it never happened. And I just couldn't figure out why. It seemed a couple of those should have been automatic, and they just weren't.
Yeah, very strange.
But again, you get to this point, maybe you start squeezing your stick. I don't know. Maybe that's
they
a little
are.
bit of it. I mean, just and not just on the offensive side. It could be maybe the defense is thinking too much. You know what Bold Herb say? Don't think, just pitch. Or whatever. You know, just go out and play.
Well, instinct,
you know?
right?
Yeah, you trust your instincts and go out and play and do what got you.
Yeah, but once struggles set in and they continue, as is now the case with this 5-game winless streak, it's almost like you become your own worst enemy.
Don't try to breathe through your eyelids.
Yeah, you're trying not to make a mistake, and that's how you make mistakes. And to get back to playing on instinct is when you're totally comfortable and you have confidence again. And confidence right now is fragile. You get off to a good start in this game, but it's not sustainable.
And you kind of have to play on instinct in this league.
Oh, you don't have time not to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to build a system. You have to play within the system, and you have to have set plays in certain circumstances, and you have to have assignments. But once all that stuff's in place, you have to play with instinct because it's too fast of a game not to do it. And when you're going up against people that play like Connor McDavid and Aho and Steven Stamkos, all these guys that can do what they do, you've got to trust your instincts to be able to defend them and then to beat them on the other end. And it's just the way things are in this NHL.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we put a wrap on it?
We can do that. Yeah, we can call it a day, and we'll get set to bounce back on Sunday, believe it or not.
Yep.
Sunday right back at it against the Devils.
Yeah, we'll be back in a couple days' time, and the Flyers will take on the Devils. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Let's thank our great staff here at at Wells Fargo Center at the East Food Hall, and then also back at the station, Pat Egan. Pat, who was on highlights? Dylan McKinnon on highlights. For Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, Brian Smith, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers Hockey, a 6-3 defeat against the Carolina Hurricanes on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody.
See you, Pat.
Remember me. Our friends are Brandon Seaman. You were at his 40th birthday party with me at his house out in Oxford. About a decade ago now. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Yeah, Brandon and I are good buddies. Okay. My son is married to Brandon. Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're good. You guys get over by the tunnel left? Radio that everybody's get. Moving the players get. Give me your boy.